Animal Crossing New Horizons is a game where you play as a character trying to collect furniture, clothes, bugs, fish, and art, while making money to pay for your house upgrades and interacting with the human-animal hybrids on your island. The game has no forced goals, and the player can play the game exactly how they want to. When Animal Crossing released in March, it quickly became hugely popular, but there were people that didn't really understand why. They see this massively popular game being played by thousands, and to them it just looks like a kind of chore simulator. There are no goals, no endgame, no numerical progression like in an RPG, no objectives like in an FPS, and no narrative. Because of this, there are people who think that there's no point to the game. As a bit of background, I'm quite a fan of Animal Crossing. I've been playing since Wild World on the DS, so I've generally seen a lot of the changes in the games. But generally, the core gameplay has been kept the same. The loop has remained unchanged, but just had mechanics added to it to give players more to do, and in some cases, more direction. In Animal Crossing, you create a character and get put into a city, town, or island because of that specific game's circumstances. So, in New Leaf on the 3DS, the new mayor doesn't want to be the mayor, and instead you end up there and everyone just starts calling you the mayor. In New Horizons, the player's character has ended up taking a trip to a private island in the middle of nowhere, hosted by a raccoon named Tom Nook and his two nephews, Timmy and Tommy. Tom Nook was a shop owner in the previous games, and also the guy that would give you a housing loan, for some context. One of the main features of Animal Crossing is its day and night cycle. Shops will open and close at certain times of the day. Rocks and tree bark will be harvestable every day, and trees will regrow fruit every few days. The game plays in real time. What makes this enjoyable is that it makes the player excited to play the game every day. You may run out of things to do within a couple of hours each day, but there's always something to come back to, even outside of the resource gathering and the shops. In general, the things available each day are the shop's new stock, new fossils to find around the island, furniture, money, and wasps can be found by shaking trees. Stones, iron, gold, and money respawn inside of rocks. The villagers will have some new dialogue. The town hall will have different things to spend money and Nook Miles on. If you planted any flowers and watered them, they can potentially grow new flowers. And trees will grow in a few days as well as their fruit. There's quite a lot of new activities to be done each day, which means that even if the player has finished the progression and there are no new special events happening that day, there is always something to come back to. As well as all those activities which happen every single day, there are also special events. Animal Crossing doesn't just have a day and night cycle, it's also seasonal. When the game first launched in March, it was spring in Animal Crossing 2, or autumn in the southern hemisphere, and this affects which holidays appear in game, what the weather is like, and the dialogue of the characters. Easter happened not long after launch, and it was reflected in-game by an event known as Bunny Day, with the premise being that there are eggs hidden around the island which you can collect and craft furniture and clothes with. The goal was to craft every piece of furniture before Easter actually happened, and ignoring the fact that the furniture was not exactly great and the eggs annoying, it was still a good event. These kinds of events have always been a part of Animal Crossing. They make the game feel fresh. This really makes it feel like a life simulator rather than just a game. The player is part of the world, partaking in these events which mimic the real world. It's a life outside of real life, and it's just always enjoyable to see what new stuff is available on certain dates. Outside of the events, there are characters that will occasionally come to the island. Characters such as Leaf, who will sell bushes for the player to plant and give a bonus to selling weeds. Kix, that will sell certain clothing items such as shoes, bags, and hats. There's a singer, KK Slider, who is the character that in-game creates all of the music. Once you unlock him, he'll show up every Saturday and the player can enjoy some music from him along with the other islanders. Then there's also Label, who is the third sister from the Able sisters, who are the owners of the fashion shop. She'll challenge the player to dress a certain way based on a theme and then reward them with a ticket to pay for some clothes in the shop. There's also Red, who will sell art such as paintings and statues to the player, all of which are art taken from real life, and you have to figure out whether they're real or fake based on how they look in game. There's Sahara that sells rugs and wallpapers, and there are just so many characters that will show up randomly. It just adds to the content of the game and makes it so that each day something different is going to be happening, on top of all the seasonal events and all the daily events. Now I think it's time to talk about money. Money is called bells in Animal Crossing, and like in real life, it's your primary resource. You can use it to upgrade and renovate your house, buy furniture and clothes, build bridges across rivers, and build ramps up cliffs. From the beginning, you're given a house which you spend money upgrading, and this becomes your primary goal at the start when you're still being tutorialized and you have nothing else to do. You mainly earn money by selling items to Nook's nephews. They own a shop which gets running within a few days, and they will buy almost anything in the game off the player. So what generally happens is that the player will start their new day of Animal Crossing by going out, collecting bugs and fish, and then selling them off, hoping to find something rare enough to get a decent amount of money from. Another way is selling the hot item of the day, which you can find out by visiting the shop. Basically, it's a piece of furniture that can be crafted, but will sell for much more than it would usually. It emphasizes collecting recipes and materials each day, and then crafting in bulk, and it's a really decent way to earn money. This is the kind of money making that feels like a grind, but like a good kind of grind. Like you legitimately earned your money. It's like how people will make and sell things in an MMO. It may sound boring, but it's quite relaxing and it's really satisfying seeing those numbers go up. Easily the biggest moneymaker there is, though, is the Stalk Market. As well as being probably the best pun in the game, it's also, in my opinion, the easiest way to make money. The premise is that there's a side character that visits every Sunday morning to sell turnips in bulk. You can buy a load of turnips, and then each day you go to the shop and Timmy and Tommy will tell you how much they're paying for them. And this value changes twice a day. They won't buy them on a Sunday, and once a week has passed, any turnips you have left will rot, wasting your large investment. The reason this is such a good way of making money is the fact that Daisy, the one that sells turnips, will not sell for more than about 110 bells. And yet the sell price can be as high as 600 to 700 bells. This can easily make you a millionaire, since you can make up to 7 to 8 times your investment. This mechanic has been in the game for a very long time, and I feel like it's in there just to give a good way of speeding the game up for the players that don't enjoy the grindiness of making so much money. It's so easy, considering each player has a different price, so you can gather in communities to help each other get the best sell prices. It really encourages collaboration between other players. Nook Miles are the secondary currency to the game. They reward the player for completing challenges. There's a long list of challenges in the game that include things such as fish a certain amount of items up, talk to your islanders once a day, shoot down balloons with a slingshot, etc. Compared to the last entries, these are, in my opinion, one of the best additions. I'm not trying to do a comparison here, but with this new system, the player now has some kind of objective to do, rather than just being forced to make their own fun. It's a kind of structured but optional experience that the player can partake in and then rewarded because of it. Nook Miles can be redeemed for items such as a ticket to go to another island for them to take resources from, or recipes, clothes, or furniture. It's a great way of providing a player with direction when they want that kind of experience. After the player pays their first mortgage off, Tom Nook gives them the ability to get new challenges every day, and the first few you do each day give you 2, 3, or even 5 times as many Nook Miles. This is a great way of earning since you'll never run out of challenges to do, and they don't get progressively more difficult like the regular ones do. One of the rewards is a Nook Miles ticket, which the player can buy for 2,000 Nook Miles. I'd say this is about 7 to 10 of the daily objectives per ticket, without including the multiplied objectives. What do they get for their 2,000 miles? They can go to a randomly picked island. These islands are much smaller than the player's own island and are uninhabited except for a randomly selected character which can be recruited to live on the player's island. Other than recruiting strangers to move to their island, the other standout feature is resources. The main reason you buy these tickets is to get resources which may not be on your island. Especially if you've already used them up for the day. You can get fruit which doesn't appear on your island, you can get coconuts, rare bugs, and even bamboo which is used for some recipes. I think this is the most worthwhile reward for the player's miles, since they can continue playing when they've finished all of their content for the day, and they can get items which can't be found outside of going to other players' islands. It also means that the player doesn't have to wait for a random number so they can get someone new on their island, and they can even choose who arrives by going to multiple islands and only asking the ones they like to come along. The rest of the rewards are split up into the following categories: recipes, furniture, clothes, paths, and miscellaneous items such as the ability to customize a phone case or to buy bells. While these rewards don't change up the game as dramatically as being able to take a trip to an island, they do serve a great purpose to encourage crafting, customization, and decoration. The game is pretty much all about starting out with an empty island and building it up into some kind of island paradise community, and having the ability to have all these rewards available really helps the player turn the island into what they want, which really improves the sandbox experience when there are multiple different ways of getting certain items. Animal Crossing New Horizons is a game about building up an island that started as nothing into what the player considered their ideal island paradise. The day, night, and season cycles make the world feel more grounded and lived in. The game still continues on even when the player isn't, and events still happen. You still have a massive amount of control, like who joins your island and leaves, and the entire landscape. But it's kind of like being the owner of a Minecraft server. Yeah, you own the place and make the rules, but outside of that, it's the other people that make it what it is, and you can just come back on one day and see someone new or someone that's made something. The bell system is a good way of making the game have more depth by having a way to grind the money since it impacts so much of the world, and also the fact that there are alternative ways to even make them, and to even get rid of the grind entirely. Then there's the Nook Miles that give Animal Crossing, for the first time, a sense of direction for players that need it, and another goal for the players that don't. And it rewards the player from this system, and the rewards from this system make it worthwhile to pursue for each kind of player.